Viewers and listeners. The topic is, should Nigeria zone the presidency to the Southeast region in 2023? Our guest tonight is Chief Chekwas Okorie. Chief Okorie needs no introduction to Nigerians. He's been on the political scene for as long as I've known him. And he's currently the national chairman of the United Progressive Party, the UPP. So, Chief Ojozi, we are happy to welcome you tonight.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here.
Right. We are having this discussion as a nationwide debate to have Nigerians know the views of the personalities that have been shaping the national destiny of the nation. And we've had several guests on this program from the North, from the East, and from the West that have been giving us their opinion on what they think. Should Nigeria zone the presidency to the Southeast region in 2023? So tonight, tell us please, first, before you give us your opinion on this debate, please, may we know your thinking about the state of the nation today and your opinion on the state of Nigerian democracy since 1999. Let us kick off with that, sir. What do you think?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. But let me first start by properly introducing myself, a little bit different from the way I was introduced. I was introduced as the national chairman of United Progressive Party. I would like to say that that was until January this year. Because by January this year, the Independent National Electoral Committee, INEC, had registered 74 political parties. And UPP, United Progressive Party, was one of them. And within that week of the deregistration, the National Executive Committee of the party, in what I would regard as its valedictory meeting, took a decision, consensus decision, to collapse into the APC, the All Progressive Party. And this was also because we had in 2018, in the build-up to the 2019 presidential election, taking a decision by the same NEC, which is the highest executive body of the party, to support President Muhammadu Buhari, not field our own candidate for the 2020 election. And we gave our reason. One of the reasons is that we would like to support him to complete 8 years. That's another 4 years, so that the people of the Southeast could weigh in for the 2023 presidential election. And we thought that 4 more years for President Buhari was better than a possible 8 years for the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Of course, that didn't go down well with some people, but many who understood us understood why we took that decision. So when we came out openly, we supported that campaign to the best of our knowledge and our ability. And by the grace of God, President Buhari won for a second term. And those who didn't agree with us, especially amongst the Igbo people, are the same people who are now positioning themselves for 2023 presidential election. We feel vindicated because if President Buhari didn't win, we will not be talking about 2023 today, and possibly this invitation to me would not even have come. Well, the reason for stating this background is to say that I am no longer the chairman of United Progressive Party. I am former chairman of the defunct UPP. I am now a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress APC. Having said that, yes, the state of the nation today is that of deepening our democracy. Our democracy is gaining more grounds. The issue of electronic voting, introducing more technology to give the people the right to choose who they want, is gaining more traction than it had in the past. But our democracy is facing challenges. The nation in itself is facing challenges, not just because of the COVID-19, which is a worldwide pandemic, but because the economy resulting from using a mono product as the basis of our economy, which is oil, which has also suffered reverses even before the advent of the pandemic, put our economy in distress, some form of recession, not distress really. And that has also introduced challenges. Again, a number of issues about our security, the herdsmen, the Boko Haram, and so on and so forth, have created so much division. So Nigeria is deeply divided. There's no doubt about that. Nobody can pretend about that. But all well-meaning leaders are working hard to find a way out of it so that we remain one and move ahead. So these challenges are there.
We thank you, Chief, for this clarification. In fact, it's enlightening because in our last discussion, there was this argument.
These challenges.
Okay, we thank you, Chief, for this clarification you've just given us. Because when our last guest was here, there was this argument as to whether some of these political parties that were deregistered were still functioning in view of the court decision that reversed the certification of those 22 or 23 political parties. So are you saying, sir, that court decision does not apply to UPP, or that you choose not to take the benefit of that court decision?
You see, we had no doubt in our mind when we were taking the decision that the court process will really lead to nowhere. Anybody who has followed my political struggles will also know that I have been in the courts for some time, for 8 consecutive years, going up to Supreme Court 3 times on party leadership issues. And I know the way the courts work. And I also know that there is very slow pace in justice delivery in Nigeria. I'm not saying that the justice system is compromised, but the pace is actually very slow. So when we took the decision to collapse our structure into the APC, we decided not to join in challenging the decision of INEC. We knew that whatever decision the court will come with, for or against, will still go through the process of appeal court and Supreme Court, and at the end of the day, nothing will be achieved. But that apart, the people for whom I and my associates have spent a lot of our youthfulness in defending are not cut out for position. I have been in this struggle for more than 30 years. That is in terms of political struggle. But in terms of rights activism, Igbo rights in particular, I have been in it for over 40 years. And I can tell you for certain that our people are not cut out for opposition. And so I put all of those things into consideration. I founded ABGA. ABGA was a movement, a major movement that was going to change the equation in this country. But it was not the North or the Yorubas or anybody else that sabotaged it. I know where the problem came from. And we tried to save the soul of the party for 8 good years. And we know what experience we had in the various courts. And here we came with a UPP with the same vision of giving our people identity and platform for negotiation. And it felt even worse than ABGA. So when this happened, it became the right time to change direction. Change direction in the sense that if our people are not cut out for opposition, then they must be cut out for something. And what they are cut out for is to be part of the ruling party. They're part of the game. This one will tell you, the average Igbo man, I mean, he will tell you that you do not live where they celebrate and go to where they mourn. I mean, in Igbo language, they will also tell you that the goat follows the one who carries the palm fronds. Of course, you know the goat has a very low IQ amongst animals, but it is said that it is the goat that follows he who carries the palm fronds. I find that quite unsettling, but that is the way it is. So we decided to prove that we know where Ebane Chiozo, we didn't, it's not as if we didn't know. But we decided to bear some cross and it didn't work. So we can't continue the same path and expect a different result. So we took a decision not to challenge that INEC position. So we are not part of those in court. We are not part of them in court, and whatever they gain will not be benefited. And we are not looking back on the decision we are taking, because we already seen some justification, some vindication, and we want to join our people and help out as much as we can to be able to become more relevant in the struggle ahead.
I have 2 questions on this, if you don't mind. One question is this. Will we say that because the Igbos are not cut out for opposition and now remove the opposition equation in a democracy? That is one. And 2, you said that the opposition in the 2019 election have been vindication. We would like to for you to explain to our listeners and viewers, please, when you say vindication, what that vindication is.
Well, first let's go with take the first one. The people are definitely not cut out for opposition. I can tell you that. In 2003, we presented Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu, may his soul rest in peace. And Igbo people voted overwhelmingly because there was a movement. But we lacked the capacity to protect those votes. Igbo people were used to manipulate the results that we already had. In fact, it was only Peter Obi who had the capacity to protect the votes at the polling booth levels. And the results that were returned were the results that helped him to win the case at the tribunal. In other states in the Southeast, there were nobody to protect those, and the votes were manipulated. And for Dimodumegwu Ojukwu as presidential candidate, who would believe that what was returned to him was 1.4 million votes? Yet we have Igbo people as second in population in all the other states of the Federation of Nigeria, second largest number in population. And in the Southeast, we had 99.9% of the population. And there was that movement. And all that was returned to him was 1.4 million votes. Many people ridiculed all of us, including himself, but we knew that was not the truth. By 2007, the crisis in Afghanistan had begun. And what did he record at that time? 155,000. He also featured, but that was now under 55,000 votes measure up to the total number of votes of registered voters in Nnewi local government. But that was what he got nationwide. And so on and so forth. Because our people will continue to identify with who is in power. We had this painful experience over and over. I also contested for president myself in 2015. The result was very abysmal. And not only me, Professor Kingsley Moghalu contested. He came with all the brilliance, all his intellectual profile, and told Nigeria and presented himself. How did he fare? 20,000 votes at the presidential election. But in 2019, just to show you that the Igbo people crave for power, they crave for power. They want to be part of the power equation. But they believe that it has to be based on a party that is in power or about to be in power. So there was this belief that PDP will return in 2019. And above all, our own son, Peter Obi, who by the grace of God was the one we chose to represent us in 2003 in Anambra, and he became governor. Now was the running mate to Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Igbo people responded massively. I was still in UPP at the time. But I tell you, many people may not have analyzed the level of Igbo response. For the very first time in the history of our politics in Nigeria, an opposition party, the PDP, defeated the ruling party in Abuja in a presidential election. And that was just about 20% of Igbo votes in Abuja. Because Igbo people constitute about 60 to 70% of the voting population in FCT. But just about 20%, they defeated the ruling party. In Lagos State, for instance, in spite of whatever that will be credited to Asiwaju or APC in Lagos, the APC defeated the PDP, that is President Buhari defeated Atiku by only 100,000 votes. In a state, you had over 6 to 7 million registered voters. And that was just that less than 20 or 25% of Igbo people voted in Lagos, and that created that narrow gap. The president, APC, lost in Edo State, where the chairman of the party came from. And the governor of the state was APC at that time. But the difference was Igbo votes in Edo State. I can go on and tell you that if Igbo people get on to political consciousness, they can make the difference. They will need the support of others, but their votes can make a difference. But you see, we not see them come to a political party that is not, doesn't have no structure. Using a smaller political party to contest for election, a presidential election in Nigeria is like being an independent candidate. That is what it's like. And for those of you who are in the diaspora, especially abroad, outside of Nigeria, you all know how far independent candidates have fared, say in America, where they have the provision for independent candidates, especially for presidential. In spite of the fact that those who contested for such positions in America were billionaires. And let me also tell you, talking about billionaires, in Nigeria, no billionaire has ever won the presidency of this country. That is our history. That is the antecedents. The only one that came close to doing that was the late M.K. Abiola. Still, he couldn't make it. This is a country where they will tell you that the presidency is not for sale. We have to use the opportunity of this particular question to tell our people that our prospects are brightest at this time, but we must put our best legs forward. But before we begin to talk about candidates, so that they can come out to participate. It is non-participation that gives the impression that our votes will not change anything.
I think at this point,
because of it.
At this
so
point,
when we have a presidential candidate, it will be like a political tsunami.
Okay, at this point, Chief, please pardon me for interjecting into your thoughts. At this point where you talked about the Igbo political consciousness, I think it is now the right time to bring in our topic for the day, which is, should Nigeria zone the presidency to the Igbos or to Southeast in 2023? Now, can you please tell us your thoughts as to this debate we're having now?
Well, Nigeria is an ideal situation. Nigeria as a country cannot zone the presidency to the Southeast. And I like to say something. If we talk of Igbo, we have Igbo in South-South, in almost 3 states in the South-South, or 4. Indigenous Igbo. So we are talking about Southeast. Because South-South has had its chance. All the other geopolitical zones have had their chances right from the First Republic. So it is the Southeast that has been asked. But for Nigeria to zone the presidential ticket to Southeast is an ideal that is far-fetched. It is the duty of political parties to do so. And the only 2 political parties are viable for such option: the APC and the PDP. And I have been around, and many people also follow. I mean, not clean, no thing that people not know. But the PDP is not in any mood whatsoever, and they are not pretending about it, to come to the Southeast is a ticket. Whereas PDP would have announced in good time, just the way they did after the 2015 election. It didn't take a couple of months for 2019 to be one of them. And by now, the PDP would have said that by 2023, it will be the turn of the Southeast. And they have not said that. In fact, what has come from the chairman of the party, who is Igbo, from the South-South, Secondus, says that they have no arrangement for zoning to any particular geopolitical zone. Whereas this is a provision in their own constitution. Now, you also have the PDP leaders who are aspiring to run for president. They have already started their consultations. Atiku is consulting. Tambuwal, the governor of Sokoto State, is also consulting. Nobody in the Southeast PDP is saying anything. And my own take is that they ought to have come out. I mean, I listen, I see their leaders, the likes of my respected Chief Iwanyan and others who are foundation members of PDP saying it's the turn of the Igbo. But they have said, if our party fails to zone this to the Southeast, that they will review their continued membership of the party to make a strong point, because without Igbo votes, PDP is just no party. It's just like any other small party. At a point, the entire 5 states in the Southeast invested all their political capital in the PDP. And what do they have to show for it? Not a single federal president, not even a cottage industry, was started and completed by the PDP in 16 good years. And we thought that after all of that neglect and alienation, that 2023 will be the time to say, we are sorry, take this ticket, we will bring out your people so that we'll be able to press an Igbo. No, they are not doing that because they are taking us for granted. Then I come to the party where I now belong, which is the APC. APC does not have zoning in their constitution like the PDP, but the issue of rotation is conventional. It doesn't have to be in any party constitution. And something that is conventional is more entrenched, more powerful than even the constitutional provision. So the issue of rotating from the north and the south, between the north and the south, is conventional. And if I look at the president we have today, in spite of what is done, especially by the PDP in the Southeast, to discredit whatever contribution he has made, that soft spot to give the Igbo man chance remains there. Before now, before he eventually succeeded, nobody persuaded him or prompted him to choose our own Dr. Chukwu Okadibo. If he was looking for an Igbo man he could put in his pocket, he wouldn't have gone for Dr. Chukwu Okadibo. But unfortunately, that effort didn't work. The second attempt he made, he returned to the same place and chose the late Chief Edwin Umezuoke. And of course, the return was not good enough. And he now went to the West. But in spite of all that, we are now seeing federal presence in the Southeast and South-South. The public power supply in area markets, I must tell you, since 1970 till this day, is the only federal project ever started and completed anywhere in the Southeast. And that is something that even individual can do. But it was done under President Buhari. You need to see, of course, you don't need to come to the East to see what is happening on Second Niger Bridge. Google Second Niger Bridge and see it for yourself. And it is ongoing. And the roads are there. For the very first time, the eastern seaports are being opened up again. The underdevelopment of the seaports in the eastern coastline was a deliberate plot to move our people to other lands to seek for greener pasture. This was deliberate from 1970 till the military removed their leaders removed their uniform and took over PDP and continued Can you imagine a party that will change power from one of its members, president, to another, and still not continue with the projects of their predecessors? So by the time APC came into government, Southeast was littered with abandoned projects, littered with uncompleted projects. And now we have a president who said, no, I'm not going to condemn what the PDP did. Instead, let's prioritize and continue from where they stopped. And he is using the same contractors. For example, again, the second Niger bridge, the same Julius Beja. But what has changed? Instead of the private-public partnership, which PDP started that would have not ended even in the next 100 years, that bridge is being funded through Sovereign Wealth Fund of Nigeria. And for the funding is continuous, and the timeline is been established that by 2022, we will begin to use that bridge. So I can't see these things. With all I have seen and my age, I started the Igbo struggle when I was 23. I am now 67. 54 years in the struggle is not 44 days. I'm not about to sell out. I'm not about not to be who I am. But I have become more matured. I cannot afford the impulsiveness of the youth. What I can afford is the maturity of the elderly.
Okay, Chief.
And when I give my advice, it is the best of intention. You don't need to take it. But perhaps if you don't take it today, you will take it tomorrow.
Okay, Chief. My next question will be, yes, the issue of rotational presidency in Nigeria is a matter of convention. So one question arises from here. Yes, it is political parties that will make that decision. Would you support for the next president to come from Southern Nigeria? And would you support for that president to come from the Southeast? And not only that, would you support for each of the two major political parties to zone their presidential spot to the Southeast?
Quite frankly, that is what I've actually said all this while.
Yes, I want to make it clear.
Point.
I want to make it clear, sir.
I want to re-emphasize that for PDP, they simply have no choice because they have used the people of the Southeast and they have deceived them. They have cornered them. If I go into what they have done to the people of the Southeast, that will take us a whole day. But this is the time for them to say, this is the zone to produce our presidential candidate. Let the people of the Southeast who are interested step forward and let Nigerians in that party choose the best of them. On the APC side, we have to earn it. We have to earn it. We are looking forward to it. But the way we earn it, there will be an election in Anambra State, for instance, next year, 2021. Every Igbo person in APC, whether you are from Anambra State or not, and you are desirous of having a bargaining chip to convince APC to look in this direction, in our direction, we must all relocate to Anambra and deliver Anambra, because Imo State is APC already, but it's not enough bargaining chip for any realistic person. And when you have secured Anambra, you have gained a very strong bargaining chip. And once that is done, the remaining 3 states, their governors are concluding their second and final term in office. And if PDP fails to zone to the Southeast in good time, I will expect them as bona fide and patriotic Igbo persons to do the needful. And when they do the needful, then we will reverse the trend. And for 2023, and by 2022 indeed, we should be talking about 5 Igbo states in PDP and nobody, I mean in APC, sorry, and it will become difficult to deny the Southeast that ticket. I can tell you that the president we have today has that disposition to do so, because he's done it before when he didn't even know that he would ever be president. Okay. He can do it again. When we are not politically conscious enough to be able to do what we are supposed to do. And of course, even as we are having this interview, now, before now and after now, I will be fully involved, not only in sensitizing people, because you have to secure the floor before you can lay your mouth on it. Then we'll see what happens. This is the very first time in all the time I have been active that Nigerians from all walks of life, opinion leaders, who are, most of them are not even politicians, have come out to say that for purposes of equity, for the purposes of fair play, for purposes of justice, that it is the Southeast. If I name them, if I start reading out their names, we will also spend time doing that. But I guess that all those who are listening are also conscious of the development here. We have never had it so good with such support cutting across board. So the ball is in our court. And we don't expect to just be an appointed president and presidential candidate without effort. That effort we have enough time to make, and we are making it.
I thank you very much. To our listeners and guests, in the next 2 minutes, we would like to have questions from those who are logged in into the Zoom meeting. I'll also check whether there are questions for those who are following us on Facebook. But let me ask this question now to Chief, please. Are you saying that if you are telling us now that justice and equity demands that the two major political parties zone their presidential slot to the Southeast, are you saying that for the APC, that depends on the Southeast earning it? What if they don't earn it, for instance? What if they don't earn it? And if in Anambra election coming up next year, that APC probably doesn't win that election, and so the only APC state in the Southeast remains the Imo state, are you saying that the Southeast have not earned the right to ask the ruling party APC to zone their presidential slot to the Southeast?
No, I'm not saying that. Not winning Anambra State, I mean, winning Anambra State will be most desirable. It will strengthen our hand. But not winning Anambra State does not remove the importance of equity, justice, and fair play. That does not remove it. Even those who are supporting that it should come to the Southeast are not predicating it on winning Anambra State. But I am saying, as a player in this thing, we need to strengthen our hand. But if we don't win Anambra State, the other factors are still there. We are still going to lobby. The fact that we have Igbo people all over the country in good number and promoting the commerce. Okay, many people don't even know that, yes, in the north, that is the food basket of Nigeria. But 70% of every produce in the north is purchased and marketed by Igbo people, 70%. So you just cannot rule out the critical Igbo factor in Nigeria, win Anambra or not. So we still have a number of factors that we will use to lobby and convince the other geopolitical zones. In the South, for instance, they never believed that we will give our people will give President Jonathan, the type of support they gave to him. They didn't just stop at giving support. They adopted him. They even gave him an Igbo nickname, Azikiwe. And he was one of our own. And that support was overwhelming. I'll tell you, if it was not that President Jonathan misused, he took Ndibo for granted. In 2011, he had over 7 million votes from the Southeast alone. In 2015, he had less than 3 million votes from the Southeast. How many votes did he lose to Buhari? President Buhari defeated him by 2.5 million votes. That means the votes from the Southeast, but he took them for granted and they haven't done anything for them. The late Chief Ekweme gave an interview in the Sun newspaper and said, Igbo people may not vote for President Jonathan again for lack of attention, for alienation, but does not mean that we are going to vote for President Buhari. So Igbo people voted with their backside on the election day. They didn't come out. And with just 2.5 million votes, which could have been written off in the Southeast, President Jonathan lost. So we have quite a bargaining chip we can use to say, yes, if we mobilize our people nationwide, we can make the difference. I'm not saying that we must win Anambra to have it, but it will strengthen our hand. I want to be understood on that one.
We thank you very much, Chief Chekwas Okorie, for this brilliant exposition on this topic we've had tonight. Now is the time to start taking questions from our listeners and viewers and those who have joined the meeting. Please, if you have any question from this point, indicate with your device. You can raise your hand with your device, or you can ask your question at the chat section of the Zoom meeting device. My next question to Chief before we start, I've not seen any hands yet, so I'll ask my question now. The President Muhammadu Buhari have been in power now for 6 years. And now we now understand that you are now a chieftain of the ruling party APC. You are now a full member of APC. And I believe that any party to which you belong, you must be one of the decision makers in that party going by your pedigree. Would you say that the APC government has fulfilled their promises to Nigerians, which they've made in 2015, and the promises which they repeated in 2019? How will you rate this present administration?
I will rate this government very, very highly, because sometimes I sit back and shudder to think what would have become of Nigeria if PDP had remained in government in these troubling times. I now know, at least everybody knows, that we no longer have 40,000 ghost workers that will pay every month. That runs into several billions of naira. And what brought about that? The issue of the bank verification number, BVN. What about the leakages that are having in establishment, having multiple bank accounts and using that to siphon our money? And now the Treasury single account has taken care of all that. What about the courage, the moral courage and political will to get done with subsidy? The issue of subsidy, as painful as it may be at this time, has been a major source of leakage. Nobody would have thought that with this, with one, the drop in oil prices and the problem we are having with our revenue, that Nigeria will still be standing. Yes, the issue of security is a major challenge. And I am not satisfied that what is supposed to be done in that area has been done. I have been a strong advocate of journalism. I am in contested in 2015. I still advise even the mayor that needs state police and community policing. Community policing without state police is not, it will take us nowhere. And that will resolve the issue of insecurity. And when we take care of insecurity in our country, a lot of things will be taken care of. That is the area that has not been addressed adequately. But be that as it may, this government has shown tremendous commitment to saving this country from total collapse. And the economy is growing. Can you imagine a situation where you have now the possibility of joining train, because that is what is about to happen from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri? Who are the ones who are going to benefit the most for that type of infrastructure? Who are the people who are going to benefit the most? So I think so far I will give kudos to the government, because the government is operating at a most difficult time. So many governments all over the world have not been able to come out of this situation. And it has become a major source of surprise to many international financial agencies and economic institutions that Nigeria is still standing on its feet.
We thank you very much. We are still expecting questions from our listeners. If you have any question, please, now is the time to ask your question. Now, another question I have is, well, a lot of our speakers on this topic has shared your opinion that actually justice and equity demands that the 2023 presidency be zoned to the southeast. But one of our guests last week on this topic, he is from the north, from the northern part of the country. He is saying that even if the party decides to zone their presidency to the southeast, the problem is whether the southeast themselves will be united enough to agree on a single candidacy so that they will have a success. For instance, he referred us to what happened under President Olusegun Obasanjo when the PDP zoned the Senate presidency to the southeast. And then what happened, we saw a roller coaster of the position of Senate presidency changing from one person to the other because of the so-called disunity among the Igbos. So what do you think about that? Will the Igbos be able to present a united front to agree on a candidate so that they will make a joint success of the enterprise?
Well, the Igbo people, you know, we are very Republican in nature. When you zone to the southeast, what it means is that the southeast people will present those who are aspiring, because you don't go and conscript somebody to run for president. There must be aspirants. Then it will now be left for Nigerians who are in that party, in their national convention, to choose the best of those who have come out. You don't call that disunity. There's no way, no zone in Nigeria will come with a single candidate. Nobody, it's a situation that has never happened. So you don't give the Igbo people such a high job that nobody else has ever done. There will be contestants. What is important is to zone it to the people, and the people will be out there with their candidates. And Nigerians will choose who among them will fit the bill in terms of all considerations, in terms of uprightness, in terms of ability to carry everybody along, political sagacity, and so on and so forth. So that is what is needed. But for those who are saying whether we'll be united or not, Igbo people have shown political unity. Like I said, even in the First Republic, the space was for NCNC. In the Second Republic, the entire space was for MPP. But even MPP used that platform to engage, to have an accord. NCNC used that platform to engage, to have a coalition in order to be part of the government of those two republics. And then in the Third Republic, the space was for PDP, as I explained here. In terms of political unity, nobody can question about Igbo political unity. Even without a major deliberate effort, in 2019, they rose to a reasonable extent, not fully, in support of P2B, just to show how hungry they are for power, even though they have had a vice president before. But it was to them as if it's something new, because some of the people who came out were not even born when Dr. Alex Ekweme was vice president. So what we are saying, give us the nomination, support our candidate to emerge, and see whether Igbo people will not fully support, and bring the votes that will make the difference. The people are hungry for power. And let me seize the opportunity of this question to also address the issue of restructuring. There is no way you can restructure this country. You can't separate the presidency of Nigeria and Nigeria's restructuring. It took President Jonathan to convoke a national conference because the government could afford the cost of that. And it was 7 billion naira. And who could have contributed that? But when they made over 600 recommendations, the same President Jonathan lacked the political will to implement what was presented to him. Dimodume Gwojuku led some of us, including myself, to participate in the pro-NATO arrangement. Pro-NATO is a pro-conference, pro-national conference organization. That's pro-NATO, which was initiated by the late Anthony Naur and now Professor Wole Soyinka. But then, the other ethnic nationalities in the Southeast were led by Dimodume Gwojuku. Some people, Solomon and Sumota led the people of the South, and so on and so forth. But when and the purpose was to have a national conference. But when it got to the funding, a committee was set up, led by one of our sons, I won't mention his name here, a prominent son of ours, a former minister, to lead the committee to prepare a budget for that conference. And when he came back, the committee came back with the budget. That was when the pro-NATO adjourned the Senate in 2007, since 2007 to today. So if you think you can restructure Nigeria without executive backing, you are simply playing to the gallery. So if you have a president, that president can facilitate the rest. If you think you can have a restructuring of Nigeria via a national conference, before you sit for president, you wait for a long time. That is the truth.
We thank you very much. We now have some questions from our Chibike has a question here. He said, 2023 is less than 3 years. Is there any indication that Ndibo are ready to fight for the number one job in Nigeria? Or are we waiting for other regions to deliver it to us as a gift? That's the question from Obaleke. Chief, what do you have to respond to that?
Well, from what I've said here, it's a contest. It's a contest. Let me put this in Igbo. Now, some of your listeners are not Igbo. So nobody is going to donate president. Our president is such a big issue that is not donated. Power is contested and struggled for. And in that contest, you apply everything. You apply lobby, you apply all sorts of bridge building, you apply synergy, all of that, and you show commitment. Igbo people are known to stand up for what they want. They are not the ones that ever go for a free gift. No, we're not looking for that, but we're saying, consider that an Igbo man can make Nigeria what it has always wished to be. It is the Igbo man that has his own people all over the country. So an Igbo president of Nigeria cannot afford to marginalize any section of the country for the simple reason that he has his people everywhere. And so we're not asking that it is donated to us. I have outlined some I can say here, and some, well, the other ones I cannot say, but I have outlined what we need to do to earn it. But I've also said that the number we have not utilized our number. But the consciousness is building up. And I want to enjoin all those who are listening, and even those who may have to listen later, to participate in your little way from wherever you are in this world to arouse the consciousness of those who are at home. The number of Igbo people living outside Igbo land in Nigeria, I'm not talking about Europe and US and all that. The number is 3 times the number of Igbo people living at home. That means we have more people outside Igbo land than we have inside. If we had 7 million registered voters in 2015 or 2011, when such number voted, we have 21 million registered voters outside Igbo land. If you put that together, no ethnic nationality can boast of that number and spread. In our type of democracy, what is important is number and spread. If you concentrate 30 million votes in Southeast alone, it will not give you more than 5 states. But if you spread it as we already spread, it will give you advantage in meeting the constitutional requirements of winning a presidential election. We already have that. So what we need is that arousing that consciousness. And for the way I look at things now, the time is right. It is right. The effort we will make to achieve it is not too much effort, but we need to make some effort.
We thank you very much. We call on Tim Elo to ask his question now. Tim Elombah, please. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Chief, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
This is Tim Elombah. I don't think we are new to each other here. It's just that we are meeting once again after such a long break, so to say.
That's right.
Recently, we tried to contact you to clarify some issues, but you are just not available. But that is by the way. Chief, like you said, you have contested the presidential election in the past, and now, shall we confidently say that, or shall we expect you to come out in 2023 if and when your party, the APC, zones it to the southeast? That is my first question, which will now lead to my second question.
Okay. Well, the thing is, like I said in this interview, that you need to first of all secure the floor before you can find a space to lay your mat. Are you still hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are hearing you.
Jonah, you have gone back.
You find a space to lay your mat. So it is not right for anybody now to begin to pray, especially from the southeast, who is conscious of the fact that there is a challenge of arousing the political consciousness of our people across Nigeria and beyond. Because those who are even in the diaspora influence a lot of political attitudes here, especially those who are breadwinners of their families at home. So what should concern us is getting the Igbo to become conscious of what is possible and how they can liberate themselves with their voters card. And those who don't have should endeavor to have it now. The next election in 2023 will be a referendum. It will be a referendum to determine what you want and how you want it. I think I read some people who say, give me this, like give me independence. I don't want president. Who is supposed to give you that? You give it to yourself. We remember that it was Kwame Nkrumah who was faced with, by the British people who tried to convince him that still staying under the colonial rule will give Ghana tremendous economic benefit. And he said, give me first political independence and every other thing shall be added onto it. That was Nkrumah. So I said the same to Ndi. Go and secure for yourself political relevance and other things shall be added onto it. Nobody is going to donate it to you and nobody is going to give you anything because there's no free lunch. You have to give yourself and others will add to what you have given to yourself to make it happen. Restructuring will now happen if you are not close to president or the executive arm of government or even be the head of that government. Anybody, I read all sorts of things, leaders, people who are knowledgeable, saying there'll be no election without restructuring. That was said in 2015. That was said in 2019. As they are repeating the same thing in 2023. And still there will be election. Put in that government house in Aso Rock of Nigeria somebody who is favorably disposed to restructuring Nigeria to make it more viable and give every ethnic nationality some self-determination, then every other thing you are asking for can come. But don't put the cart before the horse. It will not work. It has never worked.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your fine answer. Let me quickly add another question. I have always known you as a pro-Biafran project, even though in a political sense, so to say. Have you considered the option of imbibing the largest number or the largest union we have in Nigeria, which I think many people tend to overlook? That union is the pro-Biafra groups, call it IPOB, MASOB, and the rest. Have you considered imbibing them into your political structure to give strength to the quest for Igbo presidency or Igbo political relevance, so to say?
Well, there are certain things that I am not expected to divulge in a conference of this nature. But I keep trying my best to let those who care to listen that if you do not have your voter's card, you will not be able to determine your political fate in Nigeria. You cannot say you are not a Nigerian and you don't own a voter's card, and then you still expect to get the benefits that accrue from political alliance and political relationships. I try my best to try to share that thought. And some of the young ones who are very much active in the struggle for separation are not quite knowledgeable about the nuances and intricacies of this struggle. So, and the unfortunate thing actually is that, like you try to mention some names of these separatists or these activist organizations, let me put it that way. You have not even gone halfway. There are about, by the last count, there are about 20 of them. There are about 20 of them, all claiming to be the ones that will lead us to some level of independence. And you know that in this struggle, I associated with the Modumegwu Ojukwu for over 2 decades, about 22 years actually at a stretch. And I know his position on this matter. He never thought that there will be a time again we'll be in an arms conflict because of the disadvantages of going into war. In fact, in some situations, he made it public that the only way you can win separation, secession in a country like Nigeria, using his, usually he speaks in abstract, he said you need to have a superior tank. By tank, he means military arsenal to the Nigerian tank to be able to win. That is to say, to be able to separate it and win a war. But if you do not go through that side and go in a peaceful way, it takes a long time. Northern Ireland has been in this struggle of separating from United Kingdom for over 100 years. That is close to where the host is. There have been referendum in Scotland, but each time, because it's also in the constitution, in the laws of not constitution, the law of the United Kingdom. But this time, the United Kingdom made some concessions that persuaded the Scottish people to reject separation. Quebec in Canada has done referendum 2 times. Of course, in each attempt, there will be some concessions made by the Canadian government to Quebec. And those referendums failed. So it's not really a very smooth sell. So if we want to go in the peaceful way, fine. Of course, Catalonia is there. You know for how long they have been trying. And so on and so forth. So I think the best option for us is to occupy the political space we can occupy in Nigeria. We are beginning to win an election in Lagos. Go to the Lagos State House of Assembly. You see Igbo people there. We are beginning to win election in Abuja, in other places. With greater consciousness, we will occupy more political space in Nigeria and will be more respected and will be more relevant. And it will be difficult for anybody to make decisions without reaching out to us. I think that is the way to go. I have had the privilege of traveling around Nigeria a minimum of 15 times around this country called Nigeria. And I know how Igbo people are situated everywhere. Sometimes we make statements that tend to put them in harm's way without even consulting them, and they feel very sad about it. Sometimes you stay in a comfort zones and say, Igbo people in the north, return to where? But the person who is asking them to return is somewhere comfortable with his family. And you don't need to tell an Igbo man when to run for his life because he loves his life more than you love your own. So if there is a threat, it doesn't require your directive from far away Nigeria. You see them come back. But they're not relocating because they know what they are doing and they know the environment where they are. So before you make certain kind of statements, consider how your statement will affect your own people who are living in other people's land.
Please, let me quickly reel out the questions our people are asking, and then, Chief, if you will kindly take them up and give us your concluding comments. I have this statement from Facebook. The guy says, the guest speaker, is he aware that when you mentioned TSA and BVN, that those policies were midwifed and delivered by the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan? And then I have another question here. He said, do you think that Igbo struggle for independence, that is Biafra, will be a threat to Igbo presidential aspiration? Another question we have is, the ex-president Goodluck Jonathan summoned a national conference. What happened to that effort and what is the result from that document? So these 3 questions we have, our time is almost up. So are you able to quickly address them and then give us your concluding comment?
Yes, quickly, the TSM and BVN were policies enunciated by the Jonathan administration. Nobody is taking that away from him, but he lacked the political will and the courage to implement them. They are being implemented by the one who has the courage. That is that. The issue of...
the second one is, whether do you think that the Igbo struggle for independence, that is Biafra, is a threat to any Igbo presidential aspiration.
No, it's not supposed to be a threat, because we had the Boko Haram fighting for the establishment of an Islamic state, what they call the Caliphate Republic. That did not stop Nigerians from voting for President Buhari. We had, even before Buhari, we had the Yorubas, the OPC. They even announced the Yoruba Republic. They had their flag. They published their constitution and all of that. It did not stop Nigerians from voting for President Obasanjo. In fact, that even since Obasanjo was voted in, all that agitation by the Yorubas died down. In the South, of course, we had the Niger Delta Republic. We had all sorts of separatist agitations there. It didn't stop Nigerians from voting Goodluck Jonathan in 2011 at least. And so nobody should blackmail us by saying that because some young people who feel angry say that no, we have no stake in Nigeria, we should leave Nigeria, we should exit from Nigeria. That should not be the reason to, in fact, that should be the more reason why the Southeast should be given this sense of belonging. And I guess everything at least will be able to be addressed. Ethiopia has in its constitution an exit clause in section 31 of the Ethiopian constitution. It has an exit clause for a referendum should any section of of Ethiopia wish to exit. And that was put there when peace accord was being reached to resolve the conflict, the 30-year conflict in Ethiopia. And since that time to today, no section has invoked that section of the constitution for the simple reason that every other government knows that every section has an option of exit. And so nobody is riding roughshod over others. And so Ethiopia is relatively calm for several years now. So nobody should blackmail us into saying, because some of our people say they want to exit. Address that reason for which they want to exist, and Nigeria will be better.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I missed one question from what do you have to say about some Igbos who are already doing consultations and making announcements and making moves to present themselves as presidential candidates? He mentioned some names here, but I wouldn't want to bring them up. We all know. So what do you have to say about some Igbo people who are already making moves and telling the world that they will contest the presidency in 2023 on this matter?
Well, the thing is that I had earlier advised in this particular program that we don't have to put the cart before the horse. And I've also reminded our people that the presidency of Nigeria has never been for sale. And those who amassed so much money thinking that they'll use it to buy the presidency in the past failed. And I don't see it succeeding now. That jinx cannot be broken. So let us face the aspect of lobbying and engaging all the political blocs and encouraging and commending those who have come out of their own volition, prominent opinion leaders, to put in words for us. We should be able to be saying to them, thank you, you are seeing the light. Thank you for your support. And then arouse our people's consciousness. There are, as we speak, there are about 3,400 Igbo socio-cultural groups and associations in Nigeria I have on my list. These are the people you can reach to be able to sensitize the average person, no matter where they be. People are well organized. They have a network, they have what I call grid. It is that sensitization that is far important than people going about to present themselves and say they want to run. It is not a good time for that. They have to secure the floor, like I keep saying, before you can look for space to lay your marks. And it is that process of securing the floor that we are in now. Perhaps by this time next year, 2021, the issue of who we run will begin to gain certain attention, by then we would have been certain how much of support we are getting from all the political blocs in Nigeria.
We thank you very much. There are still questions coming in, but I think this is the most we can take at the moment. So we thank you very much. Ojozi Ndibu, thank you very much for being with us this evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to interact with you.